Is this everybody? We're good? When I first talked to Tita, I had this game plan for me to come out with music and the lights were going to flicker and I was having this really nice intro, but I guess since she walked out the room and my music wasn't queued up, then I guess I'll just go ahead and get started. How about that? One of the things I want to talk to you guys about is not just being the captain of your ship, but leading the armada. Does anyone know what an armada is? What is it? A lot of ships. So don't just captain one ship. You have to be the commander of a bunch of ships. Are you with me? Whenever you go through life, it's great if you do one thing really, really well. But it'd be even better if you did a lot of things great. I don't know a lot about the BEST program. I know that they try to connect students with people in business, and I think that's great. And you need to take advantage of all these programs that are out there. And whenever you have a counselor or a leader or a teacher or a coach that comes to talk to you, you have to listen. And the reason is because they're trying to depart something into you. Now, I know a lot of you are rolling your eyes saying, well, here we are again, some other adult. And I guess I'm old enough now that I'm really an adult that's telling us how we're supposed to react and what we're supposed to do. But there's some really keen reasons why you need to allow people to put into your life positive things. One day I was watching television, I was flipping the channels, and I came to ESPN2. And they had this thing which I call the Lumberjack Olympics. I don't know if that was really the name of it, I'm sure it wasn't, but that's the only way I can describe it. They had two guys on a log. You ever see it? They try to make one person fall into the water. And then so I continued to watch it, and they had teams of people trying to saw these huge logs in half with these old archaic saws that they use to see who can do it the fastest. Then the last event were just two guys had the most points. They were going to get the championship, whoever won. And they got on top of these huge logs, and the only thing they had was an axe. And they had to see who could chop through it the fastest. And so after the gun goes off and they start chopping the wood, there's wood flying and people are cheering their individual person that they want to win, and more wood is flying and the guys are huffing. And then the first guy jumps down off his log and runs over to the side. The second guy is looking like, what is he doing? Where'd he go? I got this thing in the bag. First guy comes back, resumes chopping. After a few more strokes, a few more minutes, the first guy jumps off again and runs over to the side. So the second guy's thinking to himself, I got this in the bag. I got the championship. I got the medallion, whatever they give you, a golden axe handle. It's mine. First guy comes back. The thing is over. And the first guy won. So the second guy is standing there. He concedes. He shakes his hand. And he says, you know what? I have to ask, what were you doing every time you jumped down off every time you jumped down off the log? He said, when I would jump off the log and run over to the side, I was sharpening my axe. The reason why you should listen to coaches and counselors and teachers that really want the best for you is because it's an opportunity for you to sharpen your axe. When there are programs like the BEST program that put you in contact with business leaders in the community, you never know. Today's events may lead to a job in the future, may lead to an internship. So not just captaining one ship, you need to be the commander of a whole army. The first ship you need to be head of is leadership. Your leadership is the ability to use social influence to garner support from others in the pursuit of a common task. Now, that can be good or bad. If there's a situation where someone's bullying and you see the person being bullied, the person that's doing the bullying is your friend, and you don't say anything to stop it. You kind of laugh and maybe throw in a couple quibs yourself. Well, that social influence was used for bad. But you can also use it for good. You can use social influence to make a change in whatever organization that you're in. So your first ship that you have to be a command of is leadership. How many folks in here at this age consider themselves leaders? Now, if you're a leader, brother, put your hand up. Put it up, man. Like, yeah, I'm a leader. And matter of fact, I need me some followers. Every good leader got some followers. That's your next ship, is your fellowship. Who are the people you hang out with? Your fellowship is your friendly association. Some of you are sitting grouped together with your fellowship. Some of you have your friends. Some of you are maybe related. Some of you may have been going to school together since you were in elementary school. Now you have a fellowship with one another. What are you going to do with your fellowship? How are you going to captain that ship? How are you going to pick the people that you're going to hang out with? There were two frogs jumping through the woods one day, and they ran into a third frog. They smiled at the new frog. He smiled back. All three of them started jumping through the woods. After they hopped along through the woods for a few minutes, the third frog actually fell in his hole. And as he was down inside this deep hole, he was looking up at his two new friends, and they were like hysterical. They're like, oh my gosh, this guy fell into the hole. How in the world are we going to get him out? It's too deep for him to jump out. I don't know what to do. The other one said to him, I don't know what to do either. And they were just in a panic as they were running back and forth as the third guy was down in the hole, and he kept trying to jump out. And he would try to jump out again. And he was actually getting tired as he tried to jump and jump and jump. And they were looking down inside the hole saying, there's no way you're going to be able to jump out of that hole. It's too deep. And the third frog gave it all he had and managed to jump out of the hole. As he was looking at the first two, they were saying, I couldn't believe that you jumped out of that hole. We were up here the whole time in the panic and the tizzy saying to each other that there was no way that you were going to be able to jump out of this hole. And the third frog said, oh, that's what you were saying? You guys must not have realized that I was deaf. And when I saw you flailing your arms and shouting things down into the hole, I thought you were encouraging me to jump harder. Who are the people that you're going to fellowship with? Who are the people you're going to hang out with? Is it someone that sees you fall down into a hole and says, you might as well just stay down there? You got an F on that math class. You might as well not even study. You might as well not even try to take the test over again. It's not like you're really going to use math. You have to determine whether you're going to listen to those type of people or not. We all have those type of friends. I had those type of friends when I was younger. I would do something wrong and I would be potentially getting in trouble. They say, oh, don't worry about it. No one really cares. But someone really does care. You have to determine whether you're going to listen to these people tell you to stay down in the hole or not. And if there's anything you remember throughout today, remember this one thing. When you're writing the story of your life, don't let anyone else hold the pen. Don't let someone else tell you that you won't amount to anything. Don't let anyone else tell you that you won't be anything when you grow up. Unfortunately, I've heard parents say that to their own children. You're not going to be anything because your father wasn't anything. You're not going to be anything because your father was incarcerated. You're going to be in the same predicament. And they feed that stuff into your mind until it gets to the point that they don't even know it, but subconsciously it has taken root. So when writing the story of your life, never let anyone else hold the pen. So your first ship was leadership. Your second ship was fellowship. Your third ship is discipleship. Discipleship is who you aspire to be, what you want to be. When the disciples hung around Jesus, they wanted to be like him. They wanted to be like this guy who had the ability to perform miracles and impact change in the community. Who do you want to be like? Do you want to be like the individual that's sitting on the edge of their seat listening because someone is trying to give them some good information? Or you want to be like my brother that's halfway asleep in the middle? Who you want to be like? When I was in high school, my senior year, after the first semester, halfway through the first semester in the fall, I went to my counselor, my guidance counselor. She was the one that handled or passed out scholarships and whatnot, or told you about scholarships. So I went to her and I said, you know what, I'm black. Brother, the leader in the back, I said, I'm black, I'm a male, I want to go to college. What type of scholarships you got for me? Came in there automatically assuming that somebody was going to give me something just because I was a black male that actually wanted to go to college. And so when I went into her office and talked to her, she said, well, Lamont, I pulled your records. All the scholarship material that I have requires you to have at least a minimum of a 2.5 GPA. And she said, all indicators point to the fact that you'll graduate with a 2.49. When you're young, the greatest thing you can have is an opportunity. The fact that I was more concerned about playing football and trying to holler at young ladies when I was in school made me graduate with a 2.49 GPA. And because of that, according to my guidance counselor, I was not eligible for scholarships. One of my fraternity brothers who I ended up meeting years later, he grew up in Kentucky. I grew up in West Virginia. Delvin was one of these guys, and I love telling Delvin's story because Delvin's story is indicative of so many individuals that grew up in public housing. Delvin was good old-fashioned, what I call ignorant. He wasn't ignorant. He was ignorant. He told me a story one time that he was up in the housing project up on the 4th or 5th floor, and there were some kids down in the parking lot, and he was standing up there trying to pee on them. That's the mentality that Delvin had. That's the type of person that Delvin was. Yeah, it was ignorant. But Delvin said, you know what, I'm going to try college. Yeah, let's see what happens. Delvin actually graduated high school with a 1.8 GPA. To be honest with you, I didn't even know you can graduate. I didn't know they gave you a diploma was for a 2.0. But the thing that was so unique about Delvin's story and the reason why it's such a blessing, he applied for a scholarship in the state of Kentucky for any African-American male that wanted to go into education because there was a dire need for black men in education. And guess what? He got it. Why? Because he was the only person that applied for it. So here I am, 2.49 can't get a scholarship, and Delvin gets a scholarship with a 1.8. And his scholarship stipulated that as long as he earned like a 2.8 GPA or something like that, he maintained his scholarship. It paid for his books, his room and board, paid for his tuition. He basically had a free ride to college, all because he was an African-American male, which I was wondering where my scholarship was, especially when he told me the story years later. I said, man, maybe I should have went into education. He got it just because he was in the right place at the right time, not because he worked hard, because he applied for it and got it. So Delvin's story continues. He went to Moorhead State in Kentucky, graduated undergrad with a 3.4 GPA. The reason why I share Delvin's story is because I think there's a lot of ignorant little kids out there that just need someone to give them an opportunity, that just needs to put them in a predicament for them to succeed. Because Delvin was now in college, he's now around people who got aspirations, who have dreams, who know what they want to be when they grow up. He wasn't in the housing projects anymore, peeing off the 5th floor on the little kids in the parking lot. He's now around people who want to be teachers. He's now around people who want to be entrepreneurs because he's now around people. His fellowship has changed. His whole mindset has changed. Because his leadership and his fellowship has changed, his discipleship has changed, just who he wanted to be has completely changed. I'm a firm believer that there are so many Delvin stories out there of kids graduating with 1.8 and dropping out of schools that have the potential to have 3.4 GPAs in undergraduate, but they're not given the opportunity, or they don't take the opportunity. Delvin went on to WVU to earn his doctorate or earn his master's degree, got a perfect 4.0. The 1.8 kid peeing in public got a 4.0 at WVU. Now he's at Kentucky State working on his doctorate because his leadership changed, his fellowship changed, his discipleship changed. You know, we don't always get those breaks. I had to go to school. I went to Marshall University in undergraduate, got an undergraduate degree in business. I had to get student loans just like half the other people that go to school. And now I'm paying student loans off for graduate school, but I still made it by the grace of God. I'm still here talking to you because my path led me down a path of success. And I was able to actually glean from stories like Delvin's that this person that I partied with in college and hung out with was basically very ignorant in high school, but now is a scholar. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. So whenever I'm thinking of what can help me sharpen my axe, I have this poem that I love to recite to myself whenever I find myself down in the hole like the frog. I rely on these words that kind of lift me up to give me encouragement. It's a guy who died 200 years ago, and his name is William Ernest Henley. And the poem is Invictus. Out of the night that covers me, black as a pit from pole to pole, I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance, I have not winced nor cried aloud. And under the bludgeoning of chance, my head is bloody, but I'm bowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade, and the menace of the year shall find, but find me unafraid. It matters not how straight the gate, how charged with punishment the scroll, because I'm the master of my fate. I'm the captain of my soul. So remember, students, don't just captain your ship, but lead the entire armada. We have any questions? You go ahead and clap, girl. Go ahead and start the clap. Start the applause. Yeah. I took time out of my day to come here. But if y'all have any questions, I'll hang around for a couple more minutes as we break our stuff down. We're going to turn it back over to the individuals of the BEST program. I do appreciate your patience. And brother, I'm just messing with you. I saw you with your head down. I knew you was up playing Nintendo or something last night. But I appreciate your patience. That was quick. 16 minutes.